And, speaking of regime change and some things there's been bipartisan support for, including usually the media, part of the whole uniparty thing, let's go ahead and put this up there from Alex Thompson. This really made me upset. And let's keep this up there for a while. I want to read people the headlines just in case they're listening. These are what the Afghanistan headlines have looked like across the major media in the last few weeks. After U.S. Bagram exit, Afghans face the Taliban alone. U.S. left Afghan airfield at night, didn't tell new commander. Top U.S. general in Afghanistan says we should be concerned about Taliban. More than 1,000 Afghan soldiers flee into Tajikistan as Taliban extends control. Afghanistan neighbors raise alarm with Russia over Taliban advance. Fears of an al-Qaeda resurgence as UK troops are forced out of Afghanistan following U.S. military withdrawal. What do you notice about every single one of those? Every single one of those is negative. Now, I'm not saying that none of them are true, but let's do the converse. So after U.S. Bagram exit, Afghans face the Taliban alone. What's the alternative? That we stay in Bagram forever? We've been in Bagram since I was a little child, okay? It's time to go. Same thing with Afghans face the Taliban alone and flee. We have spent $100 billion, yes, $100 billion on training, equipping the Afghan National Security Forces. And frankly, they're probably more inept than they are today than when we started because they're some of the most corrupt people on the planet. Now, you want to keep going down that list? It's like, oh, Taliban extends control. The Taliban are more powerful, more organized, richer, and more politically savvy in 2021 than they were in the year 2001. I saw their foreign minister being like, we have no beef with China. What's happening to it, the Uyghurs? Basically being like, don't invade us. So listen, because of the drug money and because of a lot of the stuff that we've done over there, they're doing better than ever. And they're actually much more politically sophisticated. In every single one of those headlines is reflected what? That the U.S. should stay in Afghanistan forever. You know what's going to happen when you leave? Yeah, it's going to suck for the Afghans. And you know what? They've had plenty of time. We spent a lot of money. And at this point, their future is in their hands. And I know that sounds extremely callous, but what is the alternative? And you found this clip. You're absolutely right. This is one of the only good things this is one of the only places where Biden is actually very good.
Really good.
He's been good on this actually for a long time. And for all the MAGA people out there, Trump talked an extremely big game. And I think it does tell you a lot that Joe Biden is the person who's actually going to get U.S. troops out of Afghanistan. Here's what he said in a recent interview on Afghanistan when he was pressed by Margaret Brennan.
But then don't you bear some responsibility for the outcome if the Taliban ends up back in control and women end up losing the rights?
No, I don't. Look, are you telling me that we should go into China go to war with China because what they're doing to the Uyghurs, 1 million Uyghurs out in the West in concentration camps? Is that what you're saying to me?
It was your quote, sir. I was asking you.
No, I know. I gave the answer. Do I bear responsibility? Zero responsibility. The responsibility I have is to protect America's national self-interest and not put our women and men in harm's way to try to solve every single problem in the world by use of force. That's my responsibility as president, and that's what I'll do as president.
And he stuck to it.
Thank you.
And he stuck
Thank you, Joe Biden.
To it.
Yeah,
You know, it really, that framing right there is what you never hear.
Yeah, show me a headline on that. Go ahead.
From the U.S. press. And one of the things that we talk a lot about here is it's not just, is the story technically true or not? It's what does the media choose to put in front of you? So over those many 20 years while we were there, how much did you see about the negative side of us being there, what it did to us, the way that it has crippled Afghanistan in certain ways and allowed this corruption to continue and fester. This happens a lot of times, actually, when a rich country comes in with a lot of money and a lot of aid. On the one hand, of course, you want to help people who are suffering. Everybody wants that. But it also can be crippling in terms of local institution building and allowing people to be able to have an army that's not going to just run and hide in Tajikistan the minute that we exit. That story could actually be framed in the exact opposite way of my God, what were we doing there for 20 years?
Yeah, that's a great question.
If after all of this time of training these security forces, the minute that we're gone, they're turning and running.
Right.
That's an indictment of the fact that we were there for 20 years and ultimately accomplished so very little. So it's all about the way that the media chooses to frame this. And when it comes to war and peace, when it comes to regime change, they always come at this from the pro-intervention, pro-military, pro-regime change point of view. Again, I'm not saying that these stories aren't accurate. They may be. I mean, they probably largely are, although some of them may not be because, you know, they're just oftentimes stenographers for whatever the national security state wants to put out there.
U.S. general says, oh, yeah, go ahead and tell me.
Yeah, it's all about how are they framing it? What are the questions that they're asking? What are they actually choosing to focus on? And those choices, editorial choices that are made, can really shape the way that things are perceived by the American public. Now, what's astonishing here is even with the media consistently framing our presence in Afghanistan this way, the American public is still like, yeah, but it's way past time that we come home.
Yeah.
So this is one where I really have to say kudos to Joe Biden, give him full credit, because he was there on the campaign trail saying, no, I feel zero responsibility. My goal is to protect American interest, American people. We can't possibly be in every country around the world using force to try to secure human rights. Yes, there are other tools at our disposal. And he has completely stuck to it to the point that it looks like we're going to be out of Afghanistan even earlier. Remember, the original deadline he set was by 9/11. Now it looks like we're going to be out even sooner than that. So this takes a lot. You can see the media's framing. It takes a lot as a president to stand up to that. Trump clearly didn't have what it took to stand up to the generals, to face down the media on this exact question. And so you have to give Biden a lot of credit here for really sticking to his guns.
Same generals, same playbook. Trump fell for it. Biden didn't. If you are a person who really believed that Trump was going to stand up for globalization, as I also once did, you should ask yourself, why did this happen? And the reason why is because if you don't actually care about something, and if you don't actually want to stand up to the media scrutiny and stand up to the people in the room and be the only person, despite the fact that you represent the interests of 77% of the American people, then you're going to fail. That's how Bush, Obama, and Trump all got played by the exact same playbook, and Joe Biden did not, and he deserves eternal credit for that. And it's funny, you pull this, just think about, why did we go into Afghanistan in the first place? Here's a clip, George W. Bush, who was announcing our presence in Afghanistan in October of 2001, just 3 weeks after 9/11. Let's take a listen to what he said.
I'm speaking to you today from the treaty room of the White House, a place where American presidents have worked for peace. We're a peaceful nation. Yet as we have learned so suddenly and so tragically, there can be no peace in a world of sudden terror. In the face of today's new threat, the only way to pursue peace is to pursue those who threaten it. We did not ask for this mission, but we will fulfill it.
And the mission there, Krystal, from the very beginning, was root al-Qaeda out of Afghanistan. Okay, there were only about 1,000 guys who were in al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. Actually wasn't that hard. Killed most of them in like a couple of weeks. And after that, now what? I saw the person who we propped up, Hamid Karzai, who recently was in an interview, I think with the BBC, saying that the U.S. failed and would not be welcome back in Afghanistan. After we paid him and his brother billions of dollars and set up their little opium ring over there. It's just incredible to watch how it's all actually played out over the last 20 years. George W. Bush, of course, is the #1 person to blame for not getting us out at that time. But many other successive presidents, came in, said they were going to do something and didn't do it. And Biden is now set, as you said, the August deadline. We'll put that up there, which is that he says all U.S. troops will be out of Afghanistan on August 31st, likely not to give the Taliban too much of a propaganda victory by going out on 9/11 in terms of retreat. And I thought that the White House, and you'll rarely hear me say this, I thought that Jen Psaki said it quite well. We are not going to have a mission accomplished moment because we did not accomplish what we wanted to in Afghanistan. And I think that America has been dying for that level of frankness from the White House and from the official press secretary for a long time. I did not think I would see this. I honestly thought we would be there until, I don't even know, until I was like in my mid-40s.
We've been fed nothing but a pack of lies with regards to Afghanistan and across successive presidencies where they wanted to convince Americans, this was revealed in the Washington Post, Afghanistan papers, where they wanted to convince the American people that there was some sort of progress being made there, that there was, that all of these lives and treasury and time and commitment, all of this stuff, that it was ultimately paying off. And, I really, really feel for the service members who served there, who may have been injured there, who may have watched their brothers and sisters killed there, and have to be looking at this and going like, what was it for? Like all those years where I was away from my family, where I was risking my life, where I was, maybe getting PTSD and all of these things that I experienced, what was this ultimately for? And we were there far, far, far too long. And thank you, President Biden, for actually following through and getting us out. It is long overdue, but at least that is the right step finally now being taken. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.